Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by PagerDuty. PagerDuty decreases alerting noise for IT operations and developers to ensure that the right engineers are notified at the right time. Increase your uptime and sign up for a 14-day free trial at PagerDuty.com/twit. And by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging and informative tutorials streamed to your Roku, computer, or mobile device. For a free 7-day trial and 30% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/allaboutandroid and use the code AAA30. And by Harry's, for guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code AAA when you check out. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 198, recorded on Tuesday, January 27th, 2015. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
And we are joined by not one, but two fantastic guests today, sitting right next to me on my right here. Welcoming back to the show, Myriam Joire. How are you doing, Myriam?
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
In studio.
Anytime.
Yeah,
cool,
and a whole afternoon of Twit shows.
Oh, wow.
I was on Before You Buy just now. Before that.
So what were you reviewing on Before You Buy?
I'm going to keep it
Okay, keep that close.
for later because it
That's
is
true. It does tie in.
related to the conversation.
Under her lower third for now.
Right.
Until later. And then it'll come up over the lower third.
It'll
there you go.
raise up
So.
with all
Now-
of its
but no,
keyboardy
it's not a coffee mug.
goodness.
It's not a coffee mug.
Nope, it's not.
It's an Android-powered coffee mug.
With a touchscreen. And welcoming to the show for the very first time, Android Police's Michael Crider. How you doing, Michael?
Just fine. Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on. You are known, I imagine, within Android Police and possibly outside of Android Police as the Lord of the Roundups.
Well, that's what I call myself anyway.
Oh,
I do
okay.
end
So
up,
you're known by
doing
you as Lord
most of the larger roundups for the apps and the games that we do, yes.
Which is no small feat because those roundups are kind of beasts. And I hate to admit, I pull from those.
I
for
would
this
never
show
admit
from time
it,
to
Jason.
time. I think we all do.
If it seems like they're really easy to do, they're not. They take me forever.
No,
So we alternate them, apps and games, every Monday,
Yeah.
and sometimes Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how busy we are. But we shoot for Monday every week.
Listen, Michael, I don't know if you realize how much we appreciate the work you do on a bi-weekly basis.
Oh, yes.
But it's a lot, let me tell you.
especially when we don't have any clue what we're going to do and it's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday and we have to pick an app by 5. Thank you. But I have to ask, because sometimes your roundups are so detailed and just the list is massive. I wonder, like, I imagine you're pulling from like what's new and noteworthy in the Play Store. Are you getting emails from, the people that are creating the apps? Like, how are you combining all of these sources to make those lists? Or are you actually going in and scouring, just being like random searches, what just launched, and oh, hey, that's neat, let's write about it?
I have to give credit where credit is due. The owner of Android Police is a guy named Artem Rusikovsky, and he has information processing powers that are frankly fantastic. He's got all these sort of systems set up where all the information comes to him. He's flagged notable publishers and developers on the App Store, the Play Store. And of course, we do get tips from people who are making apps and then people who just want to share it with us on occasion. But most of it is this incredibly intricate, very, very complicated, massive system of alerts that we have set up. And someone looks at each and every one of them, and we find usually somewhere between 20 and 30 apps or games, as it might be, every week to share with people.
Yeah.
I do have to thank you guys, and this is probably, I don't know if this is in your pay grade or not, but the decision to go to 2 pages for the roundups instead of one really long page with lots of third-party embeds that made my browser crawl. So thank you for the pagination. I appreciate it.
It's funny. We used to do it when it got past 40, and our copy editor was like, my laptop cannot handle almost 40 apps in a page. You gotta cut it sooner, so we cut it at 30 now.
Yeah,
you shouldn't see more than 15 on a single page in that. And yeah, Android Police, the site is a little old and it's getting a little creaky. We are very, very close. I am reliably informed to a relaunch that should be much better on people's computers.
Oh,
Hey
man.
man,
Looking forward to that.
pagination is page views best friend. You know, for every post, that's at least 2 page views there. So there you go.
No. We respect our readers and ourselves, and we only break it up when we really need to.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
Good approach. Well, we love, obviously, big fans of Android Police, so it's awesome having you on board. We have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to be discussing Google's mobile network ambitions. This is something that we first heard of, I feel like, years ago with the Nexus 1. It's starting to bubble up again. Cyanogen Mod's Google-less ambitions. Kind of juicy nugget there. BlackBerry's app neutrality ambitions. Yota Phone's screen on both sides ambitions, and many more ambitions.
So I hope you're ready to stay with us till 10 p.m.
Yep.
I'm going to have to change my zip
I got time.
Lots of Android ambitions.
Yeah, lots of
I
ambitions.
think we have an episode title already.
possible.
Well, there you go.
Android. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I think we can do better than that. But for now, Android Ambitions is up there. Before we move on, though, first and foremost, I want to kind of call this out. And Michael, thank you so much for bringing this up kind of in pre-show talk on email. Cameron Summerson, another Android Police editor, has been on the show a few times now. His son, Axton, who's now 2 years old, was diagnosed with irreparable kidney failure. That's chronic nephrotic syndrome. I'm probably mispronouncing nephrotic, but it's something like that. Basically, he needs a new kidney. And, you know, as a parent, I couldn't even imagine being, you know, Cameron's been updating his Facebook page and this GoFundMe page for the past month with all the kind of, you know, trials and everything that's happened in the past month with, you know, Axton being in the hospital and going through all these procedures and everything. And it's really kind of heartbreaking. So, you know, Michael, you were the one that brought it up. Where can people kind of go if they want to pitch in and help out?
Well, it's really easy. It's gofundme.com/Team Tiny Tank, as you can see right there. That's all one word. That's the easiest place to find it. If you look for Cameron's social network links on his Google Plus or his Twitter, you should see him talking about it on a fairly regular basis, because, I mean, they've got to take this little guy to dialysis. I think it's up to either 3 or 4 times a week now, which is part of what this fund is for, because he's just about to turn 3 years old, and he is not physically big enough to take a kidney transplant right now. So they have to get him bigger. They have to keep him healthy so he can grow nice and big and strong and take that transplant. But in the meantime, Cameron and his wife, Corey, they both have to take him to the hospital multiple times a week, which of course takes away from their ability to work and provide for themselves. So that's part of what this fund is for, just to help these guys out. We know they're going through a rough time. Yeah. And obviously, we know that everybody can't contribute money, and we don't expect you to. But if you could take a look at that and reshare it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google+, we would appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine being in his shoes and reading some of that stuff. I'm just like, you know, as a parent, I read it, and of course you put yourself in that situation. And if you're, you know, and you see some of the photos, and obviously Axton's a trooper, but you know, man, that's not easy for a 2-year-old to go through. And so I wish him the best. I've donated. Anyone else that can donate, either that or share, go to gofundme.com/Team Tiny Tank. All one word, and check it out. Help them out. Pass it forward, as it were. All right.
I really want to see where we're going to go next now with Bryan and the Android news intro.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Good luck.
Don't have to, Bryan, but why don't we go to the news?
All right.
Sensible. Cool with that.
All right, so moving on. As you mentioned in the top, there's, you know, we've heard for years that Google's was gonna make an entry into the mobile space. You know, we have the Android operating system, and then, you know, various Nexus phones, and, you know, rumors and things like that about them getting involved as a network carrier. But last week, the news kind of broke that Google might be making a play, but as an MVNO. So if you don't know what an MVNO is, this is those mobile virtual network operator. That's what it stands for. And that's when, like, Virgin Mobile was a cell phone company, and Metro PCS is an MVNO. And basically what they do is that they lease space from the bigger established networks, most often Sprint or T-Mobile, and create their own kind of network that you can subscribe to. So it's been rumored that Google is going to be entering as an MVNO, working with Sprint and T-Mobile, and they would be data only. So calls would likely be handled through voice or Hangouts or VoIP options as opposed to traditional phone service, and you'd have unlimited data and a big reliance on Wi-Fi when available. And this begs the question as, do you want your phone company to be Google? And I heard a lot of people on different podcasts and different other blogs, stuff like that, going, well, does Google want everything or whatever? But as someone who is completely in the ecosystem, I would totally do this. Because you know what? It's probably going to be pretty cheap or maybe even free and just have to have a couple of ads in there because that's what they do. And compared to the $109 a month I pay T-Mobile, I'd like free. You know?
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Myriam?
You know, this one's it's a big one. I mean, I've been a strong advocate for the idea of Google taking on becoming a carrier in some way, whether it's through a virtual mobile network operator setup or even just, building their own network or, like the one thing with SpaceX and the satellites or whatever. Although that's not practical, you still need to relay that signal to some towers for the phones to work today. But I think there's some potential there. I think that we're in a less desperate place where we were when I initially kind of wanted this to happen around the Nexus 1 days.
Right. That's true.
I mean, T-Mobile has really changed the landscape significantly. I've always been a big fan. You know that if you follow my podcast. But, and I think, Verizon and AT&T still need to learn a good lesson. Sprint is kind of more or less irrelevant. So, I'm not sure it's quite as necessary now. I mean, I still think I pay $100 for 2 lines, unlimited everything on T-Mobile right now. It's not bad at all. So, I mean, I like the idea that you get everything from one provider, but there's also the danger of losing choice, which so it becomes so easy. Like if Apple were to do it, for example, with the iPhone, right? That's something that people have thought about. Wouldn't it make sense if you just paid your iTunes, it came out of your iTunes account every month and you wouldn't have to worry about what SIM card is in your phone or even the carrier existed? The danger is that how do you decouple from that if you ever want to switch to another? If the networks become associated with the ecosystems, it gets really kind of dangerous in a way. So it could go either way, really, at this point. I'm hoping that the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. I hope that, we can get a better quality of service and cheaper service by the massive economies of scale that Google brings to things typically. Whether I'm not necessarily suggesting commercials and advertising to pay for stuff, but it could be very interesting. I'm certainly going to keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, because you've got, so in this case, Google MVNO, let's say, so cell service. Then you got Google Fiber for your internet, which, by the way, fiber opened up to a couple of very fortunate, lucky cities like Raleigh and
it's like the lottery when
Alabama.
they announced the new cities it's getting.
Like,
and guess what? It's never going to be a city that I live in. I mean, honestly, like they're not going to come to San Francisco. They're not going to go to New York. Like, a friend of mine lives in Kansas City, and I drove by the Google Fiber building. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I can smell the bandwidth from the car.
Right.
I don't know. The Google fan in me says yes, but I understand what you're saying, and yeah, I get it. How do you feel about this, Michael? Would you sign up?
I think Myriam's concern about the ecosystem might be a little out of place because so far Google has demonstrated that they're willing to work with a lot of different software and hardware systems. Just about everything that Google does, I believe, is available on iOS with the notable exception of Android Wear. And I think they only left that off because Android Wear would be so difficult to get to iOS with a similar experience that we have on Android right now. So if they did this, and I am not 100% convinced that they will, like after all, we've been hearing about the possibility of it since the Nexus 1. But if they did, I think you'd be able to throw that SIM card into anything that works with it and do just fine because more than anything, they want your traffic, they want your eyeballs. They aren't especially concerned about what you happen to be looking at when they get it. I think they're opening themselves up to a little bit of regulatory issues, especially if they try and expand this past the U.S., because obviously whenever Google sneezes in Europe, somebody has something to say about it. And as somebody who both loves and hates Verizon, loves them for their service and hates them for just about everything else.
Hallelujah.
I probably wouldn't switch because I've got a grandfathered one unlimited data plan.
I did too, but man, at a certain point, I was like, you know what? See you later.
I ran. But now I've got that at T-Mobile, so I'm kind of happy too.
Exactly.
But I think it does beg the interesting question, which is, can you? The idea of a data-only phone is that.
I think that's interesting.
I mean, can you?
We've seen similar things. Republic Wireless is almost data only.
Yeah.
I think they only go on to traditional calling options over a standard GSM or CDMA network when they have no other option. And then of course there's all of the new Wi-Fi calling stuff that everybody's trying to get in and ease the stress on their networks.
And VoLTE is not quite there yet, but it's getting close all the time in terms of adoption.
Yep.
And standards are still kind of up in the air, but I mean it's possible, right? Yeah. So it wasn't possible 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So this
I think it's funny because I think there's a lot of customer service that comes with it. And I think that 4 years ago when you wanted this, I don't think Google was mature enough in the customer service kind of side of things. And I don't know if they're mature enough now, but we've seen a lot more improvements when it comes to customer service. At least, my experience with replacing my phone, buying a phone from the Google Play Store, your experience, although it didn't go your way, the way you wanted it to.
Oh, but
but
that was, yes, I understand that.
But I think that
was expected.
I think that because with once you have a service and you expect that service to be whenever there's a problem, like I have no problem calling T-Mobile and complaining, and admittedly I haven't complained for years because they've given good service, but you got to be ready for that angry phone call, and I think Google now has an infrastructure to support that. So it's interesting to see if this is indeed going to happen, if this has all been part of the plan as they build the Play Store, build the service infrastructure, and then
Are there MVNOs that do the network switching? So one of the things that I read is that Google's MVNO would actually have a deal with T-Mobile and Sprint.
Right.
So it would surface the best possible connection between the two networks. Have we seen that before?
No, I don't think so. Maybe in Europe, but not in North America that I'm aware of.
I think the closest thing is probably the Republic Wireless handoff, where they have some custom hardware and software that can switch between a mobile signal and a Wi-Fi signal pretty much seamlessly. But as far as going between two mobile networks, no, I haven't heard it.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting, because years and years ago, I proposed the idea that, I thought that when Amazon was going to launch their phone, they would, bundle it with a data plan, like a WhisperNet.
We were hearing a little bit about that.
Like a WhisperNet on steroids, basically. And I was very disappointed when not only did they botch the phone, but they botched the launch, they botched everything. They botched the carrier agreement.
But it was 3D.
Oh, who cares?
But
but you're missing the point. It had 3D.
It had depth of field. It had 5 cameras on the front. Come on.
I know. So the point is that back before, I thought that Amazon would try this with their phone and it would be somewhat successful because people would really appreciate being able to just use their Amazon account and not have to worry about what carrier they're on. And what I thought would happen is that if it was successful enough, not mainstream, but starting to get some traction, that Apple would do it.
Yeah.
That Apple would take a big chunk of cash, give it to AT&T would probably be the first one to approach and say, here's $5 billion to improve your network today, but you need to cut us a deal for the next 5 years and make us a virtual app operator. And then, a year later, they would have approached Verizon with $5 billion and said, here's $5 billion to improve your network. We now want to deal with you and we want to auto switch. And that's the holy grail, right?
Yep.
And then imagine they do this with Vodafone, with 3, with, whoever, all over the world. Now you can roam on the best possible network in every country with a single account and a single bill, basically, kind of like what T-Mobile, and that's my point. Like T-Mobile has done a lot of that already for us now, and I'm not sure that Google will bring much more to the table that's really significant, unless it's free.
Unless it's free, or unless it's got that live switching, or unless it's got something that we haven't even thought about for some way to subsidize it or some way, which I think of all people Google could do. I think that the scenario you laid out, it's possible that Apple could do, but it's possible that Google could do it as well too. And questions about regulatory or monopoly or whatever, they don't own the network.
No,
they're leasing time on the network. So so as far as that goes, I'm no lawyer, but I think it's fair game.
Now with Google being an MVNO as opposed to owning the network outright, would they have any sort of influence over the hardware on the network as far as updates? You know what I mean? Like Like on Verizon, if there's
can
hardware
you
on
prioritize?
Verizon, if you're on Verizon and you buy Android hardware, you're kind of there's always that kind of that stop, the stop in the update that hits. Well, is it compatible with the network? Is it going to mess our stuff up? Blah blah blah, and so that slows down the update process. Would Google be able to bypass that by just being an MVNO, or because an MVNO is leasing through an actual network? It would still be a throwdown.
Considering the approach that they've taken with phones and tablets, I think that would have to be a major sticking point for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could get it, but I'm sure they would absolutely want it.
Yeah.
Some virtual operators have negotiated kind of like almost full control over their share of the pie, and I think it's feasible. Not with Verizon, of course. No, Verizon is a whole planet of its own here about being sticklers around that stuff. So
Verizon does not play well with others.
no.
It's my sandbox.
Including customers.
Yes.
All right, so interesting stuff. What else do we say? But stay tuned. We'll hopefully find out more very soon. Let's see here. Cyanogen Inc.'s CEO Kurt McMaster spoke at the Information's Next Phase of Android event last week and started his talk by saying, "I'm the CEO of Cyanogen. We're attempting to take Android away from Google." Which is kind of an interesting nugget right there. He elaborated by saying that Google is restrictive with certain parts of the OS. So, for example, it's currently impossible to build a service into Google now, but Cyanogen has ambitions to offer third parties access to deep integrations into Android that Google doesn't. I'm kind of scratching my head to know how they have access to it if it's working with Android, but maybe that's yet to be answered. But this is very interesting. He went on to say, "We've barely scratched the surface in regards to what mobile can be. Today, Cyanogen has some dependence on Google. Tomorrow, it will not. We will not be based on some derivative of Google in 3 to 5 years. There will be services that are doing the same old bull blank with Android, and then there will be something different. That is where we're going here." So, and Cyanogen also plans to have its own app store in the next 18 months. So Cyanogen...
In other words, they're forking.
That's what it sounds like.
Hey, listen,
I'm just putting
this is a family show, all right? Let's be careful, all right, with the forking. No, I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like they're taking the Amazon route. I mean,
which is interesting for a company that was kind of born out of the idea of taking stock Google's stock Android and, keeping it close to Google services and everything like that. Now it seems to be potentially moving away from that.
Here's the thing. It's a company now.
Yeah.
With investors and with people who are like, listen, they're sitting at the boardroom and they're saying, you got a big problem, your dependency on Google. You got to figure out how not to be dependent on Google. And they're going back and saying, they have to do it from a shareholder perspective. It's no longer a hobby.
I don't know if it's the economics of it so much as their culture. Cyanogen Mod has always been very open source friendly, of course. Yes. It's kind of their deal. And for the last 5 years, Google has been moving away from that necessarily for what they want to do with Android. But for anybody who is invested in Android and not necessarily in Google, it makes sense to try and move away from it. The question is, can you sell Cyanogen Mod or Android or whatever it is without Google? Amazon is having trouble with it, especially on the phone. But I would say that the Chinese market, if nothing else, is a really good indication that you can do it in a place where there's no other option. So can you sell a Cyanogen Mod phone next to a Samsung phone with Google on it? Samsung would probably really like to know that too, because they want to get Tizen out there someday.
Maybe Cyanogen.
Well, maybe in China it'll work, but
I was going to say maybe Cyanogen's greater picture vision here is not here.
Yeah, it's China. It was India. It was
Look, the reason is, look, the chat room agrees. I mean, I don't want Cyanogen Mod without the Google stuff. I mean, that's what for me, it's not about Android. It's about the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Android. Of course, I love it. But it's like, the best experience, I hate to say this, but even though I love Cyanogen Mod and it's awesome and customizable, I'm sorry, but Lollipop is the best Android experience. Absolutely bar none. And that includes Google Play services. Yeah. That includes all the Google services. If it wasn't like that, it wouldn't be what I consider Android. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
to me, the Aesop forking away, doing the Amazon thing, and even to some extent Cyanogen the way it is today, it doesn't feel like Android to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
can anybody pull out a Fire phone or a Kindle Fire tablet? Anybody?
But it's 3D. I know earlier we were talking about the
We- yeah,
five
we did-
cameras and the depth perception.
Let's be real here. There's 3 dimensions when you look at
Listen,
that screen.
All I'm saying is it makes it
Between the
really
four
easy
of
to
us,
buy
we've
things
got
on
what?
Amazon.
Yeah, between
And
the four of us, we've got what,
fireflies.
8 or 9 Android devices within reach.
Yeah,
We've
I
got
know.
another 5 down here. Some of them have the App Store on them. None of them are Amazon products
Yes.
because the Google services are just so good. It's worth giving up a lot, including a lot of the Cyanogen mod stuff. It's nice that right now you don't have to make that choice. You can flash your G apps and have your cake and eat it too. But they're going to have a real tough sell without Google in major markets like the U.S., Europe, India.
But you know
Basically
what?
everywhere except China.
Yeah, I did, but I think we've kind of got there. I think we
Yeah,
figured it out. Europe, the U.S. kind of doesn't matter
over.
in the long-term plan.
it doesn't
If they
matter.
can target like China, all they have to do is target China. Whether they
mean,
could or
look,
not, that's
like-
the question.
they can make
and then they can make.
2 versions, like
Yeah, that's
Xiaomi
true.
does,
Yeah.
where they have the Mi Phone you can buy, with the Google Play services or without.
I won't say 100%. This is 10% hacker gusto, 90% investors yelling at them saying you got a problem with Google on your back. That's it. If I invested in them, I would say you got to figure out how to do this without Google. So
And hey, going after 1 billion potential customers is not a bad idea.
Yeah,
no matter how you go
it turns
about
out, especially when everybody's suddenly finding that
So
that's
wait
the smart
until
way to
they
go right now.
announce that they're going to start using Tizen as their core OS.
Ooh, ouch.
Well, talk about going after customers. BlackBerry, kind of like a phoenix rising.
Once again.
the BlackBerry
Phoenix.
The BlackBerry CEO John Chen posted to the Inside BlackBerry blog where he presented, among other things, the idea of application neutrality. And so now I'm going to read this verbatim just because my summary can't do it as justice as John Chen's exact words would be. But he says, Netflix, which has forcefully advocated for carrier neutrality, has discriminated against BlackBerry customers by refusing to make its streaming movie service available to them. Many other application providers similarly offer services only to the iPhone and Android users. This dynamic has created a 2-tiered wireless broadband ecosystem in which iPhone and Android users are able to access far more content and applications than customers using devices running other operating systems. These are precisely the sort of discriminatory practices that neutrality advocates have criticized at the carrier level. Therefore, neutrality must be mandated at the application and content layer if we truly want a free and open, non-discriminatory internet. All wireless broadband customers must have the ability to access any lawful applications and content they choose, and applications and content providers must be prohibited from discriminating based on customers' mobile operating system.
Oh, cry me a freaking river.
Wow, I run BlackBerry. We blew it.
Wow. Seriously.
It's kind of a bold statement, I have to say.
Well, bold is a very kind word.
Bold.
For that
Well,
statement.
it's a very BlackBerry bold statement. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, the next up, the BlackBerry BS. The new, we'd had BBM, now we have BBS, right?
Well done, Brian. Better call the ambulance.
yes.
Yep.
Poor, but you gotta feel bad for BlackBerry.
Great PR,
right?
though, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It got
I mean,
the
she's just
attention of
straight
the
up
media,
trolling. He's straight up
Totally.
trolling.
Totally
He's the guy who
trolls.
comes on the
Yeah,
message board
totally.
with the crazy idea where you're like, whoa, what?
I know.
Like,
yes.
it's just like,
I know what
did
you said
just
is
say?
ridiculous, but I can't help but
Let
challenge
me-
you on it.
Let me throw a crazy idea at you, Mr. Chen, and that's that perhaps BlackBerry should make Android phones.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Because, this thing here, which is the best BlackBerry phone ever made, the Classic, as far as the way it is today, it's a very productive phone, but it's really a turd as an Android device, right? Because that's what we really want. We want to install the apps. We want the ecosystem, right? So this can install Android apps. So guess what? I went to look for Instagram. So I was like, well, let's check the BlackBerry store first, because maybe they have a native version of Instagram. Nope. Go to the Amazon store, because it's the only other app store installed that's also an Android app store. Oh, no Instagram either. So what did I do? I sideloaded it. I had to Google figure out which version worked. It's like a nightmare. Like, if you don't have apps on your platform right now, I suggested this on the Windows Central podcast at CS and got a lot of people angry. Microsoft device should make Android phones. They have the best hardware in the world. This is fantastic hardware. If this was an Android phone and you liked a hardware keyboard, you would love this
I know.
device.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
a
it's
time
a
where
nice
I swore by the hardware keyboard. I was like, a
So,
phone needs a hardware keyboard. I
My
need
challenge
it.
back at you, Chen, is make us some Android phones with a BlackBerry brand on them and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. What's the marriage to your operating system? I understand that they put
Who cares?
millions of dollars and all that stuff sort of into it, but it's at the point now when I see a BlackBerry phone in the wild, it's like, whoa, it's like, whoa, look at that. Like, I was watching on HBO, I was watching that show Looking, the one that takes place in San Francisco, and one of the characters had I was like, and I paused it. I'm like, was that a BlackBerry? Like,
You know, this is more powerful than an Android phone because it's a time machine. It takes you back to 2004 instantly,
well,
right?
What I still
But
say
it's
was,
Terminator style. It only
Look
goes
at
one
it.
way.
It's like a time machine.
well, I think it's fascinating that BlackBerry owned the IT sector. They own the business. Like when I worked for a big Fortune 100 or 150 company, and they handed me a BlackBerry, and like that was it. And I'm like, well, I have this other cell phone. And they're like, no, you got to use this. And they had that market, and they lost it because they didn't change with the times.
That's why reading this just kind of made me kind of sad.
Exactly. Because guess what? If they wanted
You
Netflix,
had it all.
if they wanted Netflix, like you were saying earlier, they could have thrown a bunch of money at Netflix and said, make it work on our platform, and they would have. Why wouldn't Netflix have wanted those customers? It's not like Netflix is putting a stake in the ground going, we only support iPhone or Android. You know?
Netflix has not been very
Right.
hasn't really held back on platforms
Yeah.
as far as creating
No.
apps.
I don't know. Michael,
And
what do you
I think that if Chen had just said, look, you guys need to make apps for our platform. We're a legitimate platform here. Please make us apps. This never would have been a story that went all over the internet.
Yeah.
The thing is, he equated it with net neutrality and tried to say it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Net neutrality is a regulatory issue. It's about access to content that should be non-discriminatory. Whether or not you can run X app on Y platform doesn't have anything to do with that.
No.
It's just about data and getting it and not keeping other people out of your system or even slowing them down. And I honestly don't know. I'm about 50-50 on whether he understands exactly what it is that he's talking about or if he understands it and is deliberately obfuscating it. And trying to equate these two very, very different problems. And it's a legitimate problem for BlackBerry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways they could go about solving it. Whining and trying to get laws written to say that you have to make BlackBerry apps isn't one of them.
By his logic, Microsoft can whine that you can't play Destiny on the Xbox One, right? That it like, well,
Right.
that only works on the PS4. Like that's how it works. Like that's what
Right.
happens.
I think Destiny can be played on the Xbox
Well, whatever.
One.
I'm not a gamer. I'm the one. You know what I mean? Whatever. Play whatever game you want. I knew I'd get that wrong. I'm just saying.
Can't play
Whatever
Smash
game.
Brothers on Xbox. That's a big problem. They need to fix that.
But I mean, yeah, and laying that stake in the ground would pretty much kill startup / independent developers, right?
for sure.
Because you can't release that unless you're willing to develop it for 3 platforms simultaneously. Having said that, we are often talking on this show about developers should be releasing their apps simultaneously on multiple platforms.
Right.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
we're not saying that it should be like legislated and or even be any sort of like a rule that means it's either this or nothing, period.
I wrote
just that
up,
it'd be
I
a
wrote
good
up
idea.
the article there. I wrote up the article there on Android Police, and I started by saying, look, the IDC platform numbers said that 1 out of every 200 phones that sold today is a BlackBerry phone. Would you prioritize BlackBerry over almost anything? No, of course you wouldn't.
Right.
You don't. They were talking about how iMessage isn't available for BlackBerry or Android or Windows Phone. Well, no, of course not. It's not available for my Dreamcast either, and there's a reason for that.
For a while too, they weren't making BBM available on anything about Blackberries, right? Remember?
By their
But
own.
they know a thing or two about keeping things exclusive to your platform.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. Like I watched again, another anecdote. My sister and my brother-in-law and their friends, a whole bunch of them were on Blackberries. This is years ago, and they were all on BBM, the BlackBerry messaging. And I
BBS.
watched them overall, BBS. They dialed in with their US robotics modem. And but I watched them over years migrate from BBM to WhatsApp.
BBS.
And now they're all on WhatsApp, and that no one has looked back, and no one's been like, I missed that BlackBerry. It's like, no, look at what my Android phone can do. Look what my iPhone can do. So you blew it. They blew it. This is hysterical. He's
It's funny, but I'm kind of agree with Michael. It's like I'm not sure the guy actually knows what he's talking about. Like he could just have like really been honest and completely earnest with his statement.
No, I think
I'm about half and half because he used
Right?
some big buzzwords there. He used some trigger words for net neutrality advocates. Let's see here. There was some very
That was
specific
probably
ones.
when the PR people edited it.
free and open,
Tiers,
non-discriminatory.
non-discriminatory internet. Yeah, that raises red flags,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
not talking about it in that context.
Yeah,
Sure.
Interesting. Anyway,
love it. Please, more.
Before we get
Speaking-
to our first sponsor, try buy, don't buy on the BlackBerry Classic.
no, look, guys, I don't want to sound like this hardware is amazing. Like it's built.
So
like
this is a
10.
new
It's-
phone?
Yes.
It's a brand new phone. and it's called the Blackberry Classic because it is exactly the very
looks
simple idea.
yeah.
Let's make a 2004 looking phone or feeling phone in 2014.
Yep.
15, I should say. So it's
Which in
10
this
years
case is
back.
not a bad
And so
decision.
it's
I
not
think
running.
a
It's not
sharp-looking
running
phone.
Android, but
It's
it runs.
running BlackBerry 10,
but it
10.3,
but it runs
which,
Android
which
apps.
emulates Android since the early days of BlackBerry 10, always has. So what I like about this is the hardware is gorgeous, feels great in hand, keyboard is fantastic, but what really sucks is that you have a device that is running 3-year-old hardware. This is like a Snapdragon S4 Pro dual core. So we're talking HTC One S, HTC One X levels of performance. If you look at the Qualcomm versions of these phones. And the camera is not that great. All the multimedia stuff is still very lacking. For example, just listening to MP3s, I would occasionally get pops and crackles because it couldn't somehow decode all the packets properly. Somehow, something in the background was causing it to not be able to do that.
So it's not.
No idea why.
So it's not a good phone. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what we're saying
the
here.
software is not good.
Okay.
The hardware is beautifully made, feels great. If it
The physicalness of the hardware.
What I'm saying, the physicalness of it.
Yeah.
If this is a throwback to the BlackBerry Bold 9000, the one that had a leather back and it was the biggest BlackBerry made back then in terms of size. It feels really comfortable. If this had a Snapdragon 801, it has 2 gigs of RAM. So if it had a Snapdragon 801 and was running Android, I think we'd like this phone.
Yeah.
I really genuinely think we would like this phone. So, I don't know.
So why?
So don't buy.
I mean,
Don't buy it.
did they just try to get rid of a bunch of dead hardware? Like what? Like,
No,
I don't
no.
understand. Like, why did they have like a
Because
bunch of
I
those
think
chips?
They're trying to get you to
No,
remember
they never
their
ported-
glory days.
No, the QNX core of the OS, BlackBerry 10, all their BlackBerry 10 devices, except for the Playbook, have always run a Snapdragon S4. All of them have a S4 Pro dual core.
Yeah.
The Z10, the Q10, the Z30, the Q5, the Passport, and now the Classic.
Yeah.
That's all of them. They have all the same hardware essentially, just the different. Some of them have keyboards, some of them not. Bigger screens, smaller screens, but they're all essentially the same.
It's crazy.
Well, it's not hard to see BlackBerry's problem if you look at the history of it. They have a corporate culture that controls almost every single aspect of their phone, the hardware, the software, the production, the sales. And where have we heard this before? We've heard Nokia, we've heard Palm, we've heard all these other companies. The only one that's done it right and been able to dominate, questionably so these days, is Apple. And everybody else who hasn't been willing to work with anybody else's software to jump on a system that's rising and getting better and people want to use, well, hey, they've gotten bought and they're basically gone. Nokia's gone, Palm's gone, BlackBerry, these are visions of the things to come or what may be only. I don't know.
I, as an Android person, it's absolutely a don't buy. But I think there are some merits to it. It's a very productive environment. The fact that you can launch the browser from the launcher by just holding the B button down, like this is really quick and effective. You can unlock like by going U and the enter key. Like there's all these shortcuts when you're like really trying to be productive going through email. If you know how to use shortcuts, it's kind of, like none of us go into file, edit, copy on our laptops, right? We don't manually like use the mouse to do this stuff. We've memorized the shortcuts.
Right.
And if you memorize the shortcuts on this phone, it's really productive. It's almost more productive than an Android device because you're not pecking at the screen for everything. Like think of how many times on your Android phone you have to go up to the top there to the menu to do something. And this is all shortcuts. So I can see that aspect being positive, but honestly, and nothing else.
And the fact that it runs Android apps doesn't mean
And so the
that
other
it's-
is,
that it's a replacement
As I said earlier,
for an
like
Android
you
device.
can't find half the
Yeah,
apps you
right.
want on either stores that are pre-installed.
Yep,
and then side-loading apps is kind of a crapshoot. Some of them run, some of them don't run. And, it's slow because it's S4 Pro dual core.
Yeah.
It's slow at running Android apps.
All right.
All right.
Moving on.
Moving on. Hey, before we get to hardware, let's thank our first sponsor of today's episode. That is PagerDuty. PagerDuty is an operations performance platform that delivers visibility and actionable intelligence to help increase the uptime of your apps, your servers, websites, databases. If you rely on your software and services to always be up, PagerDuty, that's what it's all about. It's an essential tool. It's the hub of your operations. PagerDuty connects all of your systems into a single view where you can see critical events across all of your monitoring tools. There are over 100 ready-to-use integrations, including New Relic, Keynote, App Dynamics, and more. Or you can roll your own with PagerDuty's APIs. You can decrease your resolution time when an incident actually occurs. PagerDuty notifies the team right away. The right team member is notified based upon on-call schedules, personalized alerting preferences that you can set. If alerts are missed, PagerDuty will automatically escalate issues to another team member until it's responded to. Dispatch alerts by automated phone calls. There's SMS, email, push notifications. You can resolve incidents on the go so you can live your life even while you're on call. Decrease the noise. Incidents are actually automatically filtered and deduplicated to ensure only actionable alerts are delivered. And PagerDuty is just jam-packed full of analytics tools that will help you identify common problems. That allows you to proactively make system improvements and prevent future outages, which is what it's all about. PagerDuty is relentless when it comes to reliability. There's fully distributed across multiple data centers and multiple hosting providers. There's also multiple contact methods providers per method, so you never miss an alert. And you can customize it to fit you and how your team work, regardless of your location or your size. And PagerDuty, by the way, is trusted by thousands of companies, including Microsoft, GitHub, Boeing, Nike, Pinterest, and Box. So get the right engineer on the right problem at the right time. Visit pagerduty.com/twit to sign up for a free 14-day trial. And for as little as $19 a month, you can increase your uptime with PagerDuty. When you sign up for a new account, you'll also get a free t-shirt. That's pagerduty.com/twit. And we thank PagerDuty for their support of All About Android. Thank you.
I wish they had PagerDuty back when I was on call 24/7.
Oh, would that have made it easier?
That would have been so good, better.
I can only imagine.
I don't miss those days.
Being on call 24/7 does not sound fun.
No, never was.
Let's get into hardware.
All right, well, after years of a wonderful partnership between Qualcomm and Samsung, rumors are swirling that Samsung is going to drop the Qualcomm Snapdragon chip for fears that it's running hot. And we've got Michael here who wrote the article on Android Police. Michael, what's the story here? LG doesn't seem to be upset by this. Why is Samsung?
Well, I hesitate to call it a story just yet because we haven't been able to confirm it. It's coming out of one of those South Korean business places. Usually these publications do pretty well with this kind of thing because Qualcomm's based in South Korea, Samsung's based in South Korea, LG is based in South Korea. All the players here are in place, so we'll take it. We'll take their word for it for a certain amount.
Right.
But the basic idea is Samsung obviously doing preliminary testing for their next flagship. Presumably it's going to be the Galaxy S6, and the story is that they are dissatisfied in some way, allegedly because it's overheating. And that may be true. It's entirely possible. Qualcomm, up to this point, has been very good with just about every generation that they put out of new hardware. But we're moving into 64-bit. We're moving to 20 nanometers. There could be something going wrong there. One of the earlier reports that actually preceded this one said that they had problems with their RAM chips going in and overheating. That is all possible. But I put it to you, Samsung is one of the very few electronics makers that has this building over here where they also make chips. Mm-hmm. might just sway their decision a little bit. Because, I mean, HTC, LG, Sony, all these huge players that aren't Samsung have pretty much one choice when they want these super high-end phones. They could go to NVIDIA or they could go to MediaTek. But if you want that super reliable, super fast, super efficient chipset, your first choice is going to be Qualcomm. Samsung has a second choice. They have a second option that they are very interested in promoting. Mm-hmm. So take it for what it's worth.
I agree 100%. I think it's all BS. I mean, first of all, it's not a story, as you said. Until we confirm it, it's all speculation. But look, I really doubt that the Qualcomm chips are overheating, first. Secondly, if they are, it's probably something they could work with Qualcomm to resolve. Third, they have a huge vested interest in getting the Exynos platform back in the game. Lately, traditionally, they've always had an Exynos device or two in their lineup, and they still do, but they used to have them in North America. And what happened is with the LTE, with the fact that Qualcomm started building in LTE into their chipsets, made Qualcomm kind of the de facto standard for North America and Europe to some extent. And so that's why you see most of the devices today like have a monopoly on the 800, 801, 805, 810, because it is also one of the best chips, period, right? Yeah. So I think Samsung's been lagging a little behind, and they're getting a little butthurt, and now they want to push their chips in the same way as they were trying to push Android away last year, and they got their ass kicked by Google. So wait for Qualcomm to kick their ass. Trust me, it's going to happen, because there's no Exynos chip out there right now that can compete with the A10 in any way, shape, or form, and especially not in thermal management, in my opinion. So I don't know that I have all the facts on that, but I'm pretty convinced that what I'm saying is probably accurate. So I think they're crying wolf. I think they're just trying to kind of divert the attention towards getting their chips back in the forefront somehow or somewhere or another.
And if their chips can't compete, then what's...
Well, I think their chips are going to be close to competing. Yeah. Their chips aren't terrible. The problem is that it's a hard, they kind of want to separate themselves from this Qualcomm dominance, and it really has.
Sure they would love.
I am absolutely in agreement that the market is being dominated by Qualcomm, and I don't think it's healthy. Having a single big player on any kind of thing is never good.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to give Qualcomm credit where credit is due. They have the best platform in terms of chipset on the market, period. I mean, NVIDIA keeps trying, and I have a Nexus 9 with the K1, but I don't find it that impressive, frankly. My 800 series device, especially the 805, like the Note 4, holy crap, that's fast. It's probably the fastest phone I have. And there you go.
And the thing is, Samsung is one of the only major players that's in a position where they can do this safely. Not only do they have the chips ready to go, they've got the market share where they can do it. If they go 1 or 2 generations with their flagship high-end devices with their chips, it's not going to be the end of the world. They can always reverse their decision. The only other person that can really do that is Huawei, because they make their own chips too.
Yeah.
But again, they dominate in that Chinese market, and they really don't have just a super amount of competition at the high end there. They can push their own stuff if they want to. So I imagine that Samsung, assuming that this report is in any way accurate, and we're not necessarily assuming that, they definitely want to push their chips. They want it in the S6 or whatever they're going to name it. They want it in the Note 5. And if they can swing it there and hold on to their market share, they will continue to push into the high end, the mid-range, the low end, and we'll see how it goes. I think that'll create a great opportunity for other competitors to step up and maybe steal some of Samsung's market share, which will be a great thing for the industry as a whole.
I actually think the Exynos chips are great. I think the biggest problem is software optimization. Qualcomm has worked so hard with all the vendors to optimize their builds with their own skins of Android to run so smoothly on the 800 series that's why they're so good. And Samsung hasn't. I'm sorry, but there was a time when the Exynos was on top of its game. Like the Galaxy S2, at the time, the Exynos dual core on that phone just blew everything out of the water at the time. There was nothing that could touch that. And now somehow they lost that lead. And I think a lot of it had to do with software optimization. The GS2, like compared to the Sensation at the time, was like night and day in performance. And, I think a lot of it was skinning and software.
And I know folks in the root and ROM community wouldn't be super happy if it went Exynos, right? Because those, what I understand, there's less documentation around them, so a little bit less.
But at the same time, this is again Samsung being stupid and shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah. Who are the people buying the Samsung phone in the Western world? A lot of the reason people buy Samsungs is because they want to be able to put Cyanogen mod and make their own ROMs, right? Like because they can get Qualcomm.
But do you think that's the majority?
I don't think
that's a considerable amount of customers.
I think that there is a lot of people will buy a Samsung phone just because they know they're going to get support for years and years and years with ROMs because it's the most prevalent platform, right? So if you do Exynos now, you kind of kill that. So this is Samsung shooting themselves in the foot. They're kind of shooting the early adopters and tech-savvy folks.
Yeah, but that's not who they're going after. They're going after...
Of course they're not going after that. But they're accidentally doing that.
Right, yeah. But
what I'm trying to say is that amongst people like us, the only people who like Samsung phones are the people who do ROMs.
Right.
Nobody else likes Samsung phone if you're like a tech-savvy person. You know better.
Right.
Like you don't want TouchWiz on your phone. You buy an LG or you buy a Nexus or you buy, a Moto maybe. Right? Am I right?
Well, I'd say that's true to a certain extent. A lot of people love the Samsung screens, like the latest. What is it? Their tablets. What are they calling them? The Tab S series have just some of the best screens available. But yeah, if you want ROM stuff and you want to stay away from your carriers, Samsung's a really good choice all around, because as long as you get one of those devices that's guaranteed to sell millions of them, you're going to have ROM options. But I don't think Samsung cares. I mean, we're talking about, it's got to be like 1-2% of people who care about putting extra software on their stuff. They want every aspect of that product line to be running Samsung hardware on the inside and the outside, because that's where they want to make the money. And maybe they can do it, maybe they can't. But when they try, that's the opportunity for everybody else to get a piece of that big pie. And that's what I want them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, and then we have Motorola, kind of. Android source code had revealed recently, I think it was a month or two ago, that fingerprint sensor support was, at least at one point, considered and on the table and expected to be supported on the OS level, basically. Dennis Woodside, who's the former CEO of Motorola, told The Telegraph that the Motorola logo inset on the dimple on the back of the Nexus 6 was initially supposed to be for fingerprint recognition.
It's pretty cool.
Which would have been pretty cool. Apple, of course, bought Authentic in 2012, which many people say has the only really good, true solution for fingerprint recognition on mobile devices. That resulted, of course, in the Touch ID sensor that's on iPhones and iPads now. That left one other provider, which the article that I read, assumes is probably Synaptics. Woodside said even they weren't quite there with their technology. The ones that we've seen are more of the swipe approach versus just the
same thing you have on all the ThinkPad laptops.
Yeah, right.
I mean, honestly, if you've used the Touch ID sensor on any iPhone, that's what you want. You don't want to do anything else. I haven't found any touch sensor that works as well.
Yeah. I didn't have horrible issues. More or less. I think it was the Note that I had the fingerprint swiping method on it. It worked for me almost every time. So I didn't really complain about it too much, but I know people are vehemently.
I just find it like it slows you down that you have to swipe. You know what I mean,
it would be nice to just go and be done.
And the thing about this, it's interesting with iPhone is that it seems to learn. It seems to improve with time. Like the more you use it, the better it gets.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's getting better and better.
And if you just do your two thumbs, pretty much that's all you need, really.
So interesting stuff there. Of course, that does me no good. Regardless, with or without it, it's still shattered, and I had to get it replaced.
No, yeah, it's not.
I'm really glad they kept the dimple anyway, because that dimple for this big gigantic phone, it's great for holding onto it, especially if you get a case like this where it's got a little Apple style cutout for the logo. Let you put your finger right there. Oh yeah, you can hang on to it all day long.
Oh, so you were smart. You got a case for your Nexus 6.
Oh,
great.
Thanks.
Your dreams are shattered.
Pretty much.
Just like the screen.
Yes.
Oh, Jason.
Oh, and it's still at my desk staring at me because I have to get
Just
it.
mocking you.
I have a Nexus 4 that has
Accusing you.
that
Look at
cracked
that.
screen.
Now you broke the show, too.
I'm sorry.
Jason.
Oh, no, clean it up. Clean it up. I can't look at this anymore.
Should have got a case for the show.
Oh, jeez, Brian. Don't drop the show, okay? So real quick before we move on, because we're already way over, Myriam, you've got an awesome device here. Not a BlackBerry. BlackBerry might be awesome in some ways, but this is the Yota Phone 2.
That's the Yota Phone 2. Yes, let me unlock it here.
Yeah, you're showing that side.
There you go. So here you can see it. So this is the front. And dun 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 dun, magically, you've got a back. You've got an e-paper display on the back. And the cool thing about this e-paper display is that you can actually mirror the entire front of the display. Let me show you right now, like this. And then now the back is being turned off, and I'm going to operate the entire phone from the e-ink panel. So yeah, I can start the camera app, for example, here.
That's wacky.
And then we can do like a little selfie action with the rear camera, which is cool, right? And then of course, if I lock it now, I can flip it over basically. Let's see here. It's sometimes a little cranky, but we're back in the camera app, and you can see the picture I took in color now with the rear camera. So that's personally, the mirroring is a new feature, because the old Yota phone did not have it didn't have a full touchscreen in the back. It had just a little swipe area at the bottom. So now you can, like in dual display mode like this, you can throw these widgets to the back, or like it shows you notifications. Like, so your phone is resting on the table, it'll update notifications. And remember, the e-ink only uses power when it gets updated. So if you throw a screenshot, which you can, by the way, there's a really cool functionality. Look, if I go like this, it throws the entire screen as is to the back. So if you have like a note or something you want to memorize and you're worried your battery's going to die, you can just throw it in the back as a screenshot and it'll stay there forever. And then, of course, you get the mirror mode as a new thing because the entire thing is a touchscreen now. So if you want to read a book or even just do a quick few emails, you can save yourself battery life significantly by using the back.
This is great for travel or something like that. I could see that.
Yeah, and
totally.
then the front, and then in terms of specs, this is a pretty nice device. It's pretty much the same as this Nexus 5 that's sitting next to me in terms of specs. It's a 1080p 5-inch display, but it's AMOLED. It's a really beautiful display. I don't know if we can zoom on it. You guys can see the color rendition and the quality of this screen, but it does not look like an AMOLED panel. It looks like the new Samsung AMOLED, which is really gorgeous. And then it has 2-megapixel front-facing camera, earpiece, the sensors and stuff. No capacitive buttons. They're software buttons. On the side here, I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up, but there's a power lock key and a volume rocker. And in typical YotaPhone fashion, the first version, the power button was on top and the entire power button was the SIM tray. So this time they did the volume rocker as a SIM tray. You can just put a little pin in here and pop out, and it's a nano SIM under there. There's still no micro SD card, but it's 32 gigs of built-in storage. Nothing on the other side here. You get the usual ports at the bottom for USB and headphones. And so in the back, see, there's my screenshot still sitting there happily.
And that's not backlit, right?
No.
So if you're in darkness, that is dark.
It's completely dark.
Yeah.
So you need a light source of some kind. So you've got an 8-megapixel camera with LED. Nothing to write about. This camera is passable, I would say. The 13 on the old phone was higher end, and it's not about megapixels, but it was actually a better camera. And so, 2,500 milliamp hour battery, Snapdragon 801, 2 gigs of RAM. It's pretty much an Nexus 5 clone at this point. It looks almost the same in terms of thickness and size, as you can see. So
a little tiny bit
the
bigger.
shape reminds me of the old Galaxy S.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was saying.
The bezel.
It's very generic shape, and as
kind
you
of
can
a rounded
see,
kind of
it's running a
beamish quality to it.
pretty like stock version of Android, which is really nice. It's got some apps here that let you configure what appears on the rear of the screen, including there's an ebook functionality. You can see you can customize your widgets here.
On the back. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can have. So to me, the mirroring is a big deal, but I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the fact that they can do both screens simultaneously. There's rumors this phone is coming to potentially T-Mobile. And honestly, right now, if you import this, you can only use it on HSPA Plus. I'm on AT&T right now, and I can't get LTE, even though this is LTE capable, but it's not the right bands. So don't import it. It's also really expensive, like something like $700 or something, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, considering you can get a Nexus and it's built like a Nexus, it's mostly plastic, I would say maybe wait till it becomes available on a carrier. But let's put it this way. This is not a gimmick. This is cool. And I could see a real good future for this. There are some cases out there available that add that functionality to iPhones and stuff. And I think that's going to become a big deal. And, it's not a gimmick. It was a gimmick on the first one because you didn't have the full touchscreen.
Yeah, the touchscreen, that really changes
And also
things.
the specs on the first one were kind of meh for its time already when it shipped. This is shipping a year after launching, and its specs are, kind of low end of the high end. 801 is starting to fall off the cliff a bit.
Yep.
But it performs. Like, it feels snappy. It's a usable phone. I never feel like I'm giving up anything right now except for the LTE support.
And no unintended touches on whatever screen you're not using.
So one of the things that's interesting is like you have to unlock it. As you can see, there's a little lock here. And you actually have to really be intentional. Put your finger down and slide up is the only way you're going to get there. And, right now it's got the widgets on the back. Let me just show you, like, I have to intentionally go this way to get the mirroring going. And then I'm back in mirror mode. Now I can pull down the shade and look at my notifications.
That's crazy.
I can go into Google.
It's like watching an
Watch.
Etch-a-Sketch.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
So here,
Yeah.
I'm browsing. I was looking for a place called Milk when I was in Silver Lake in LA. So let's browse the web. There you go.
It's way more responsive
much-
than I thought.
It
than
is,
I would
isn't
think.
it? Look
Yeah,
at it.
yeah.
Like,
The
it's
load time,
perfectly
the
usable.
refresh rate and stuff like that.
Look at that. You can even do this. I mean, it just works. And
If you've tried running like a custom version of Android on any of the Nook devices that use e-ink screens, they run at maybe a quarter of that speed, and that's very usable right there.
Also, I didn't mention the resolution on the back display. It's a Quater HD, 960 by 540. It's 4.7 inches. So 5 inches in front, 4.7 in the back. Honestly, for e-ink, this is a pretty high-res display.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
And it looks good, you know. And so I think this is no longer a gimmick. And I think that if it come down in price a little bit, I think it'll be.
I think it's still a gimmick. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool gimmick, but it's still a gimmick. It's.
I think they've been very smart with it. The thing that turned me off of the original. Sorry, go ahead.
I felt that way too at first, but now I've been using it for 2 weeks. I love it.
Yeah.
That you start using it, you start and you see the battery life savings. You're like, I don't need color to answer my email. I don't need
text
color to answer
messaging or whatever. Yeah, I can see that, but.
And the thing that turned me off of the original Yota phone was that you couldn't use Amazon with it, because that's the one thing that I really want that e-ink screen for.
Right.
Yeah, and they had some proprietary apps. You could load up an ebook, you could load the file manually and do all that. But with that mirroring thing, you can read whatever you want, which sounds like a great feature to me.
The mirroring is really what makes this kind of useful.
I'd be curious, and maybe you can do this before you return it. Full charge. See how long you can have the battery lasts just as an e-ink Android device.
Yeah,
I'll be curious to know how long, because you're on a trip, all you've got is this. You forgot your charger, or something, and you're like, I just need to make it through 2 days of travel.
This was something Amazon could have done with their phone,
right?
Yeah.
Wow, that really would have been a game changer.
Right. Think about that. Yeah.
3D.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. 5 cameras.
And imagine if Amazon had the presence of mind to buy these guys up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. That would have been the perfect integration too. Like, you're used to using e-ink on the Kindle for our books.
Kindle phone.
Now you have See, there you go. There you go, Amazon.
So the one
Another
for free.
$1 million idea.
The one drawback is that every time you do take a screenshot, it actually stores a screenshot in your screenshot gallery. So you actually have to get rid of it because it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I wish it just had a mode where you could just take a shot and not save it anywhere. Just put it on the back, and that's
or take a shot and load it into your
memory,
your copyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Clipboard.
Copyboard.
I suddenly had a really.
It's because you saw Blackberry. You're traveling back in 2004.
Yeah, where am I? Where am I? All right, before we move into apps, let's thank another sponsor of today's episode, IT Pro TV. IT Pro TV is a video network dedicated exclusively to the world of information technology. Whether you're looking to jumpstart your career in IT or you're already working in the field, IT Pro TV supplements traditional learning methods in a fun and engaging way. Maximizes your learning, prepares you for certification. IT Pro TV offers hundreds of hours of content with 30 new hours being added each week. Their libraries include video courses on Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, A+, CCNA, Security Plus, MCSA, CISSP, PowerShell, Linux Plus, all sorts of topics in network security, Linux, Windows, OS X support for desktop servers, and more. I could go on, but man, they've just got a ton of courses, and you just got to check it out for yourself. IT Pro TV hosts tell engaging stories. They share personal experiences to increase your retention, kind of pull you into the topic based on their own experience. Shows are streamed live. They're available on demand worldwide to your Roku, computer, mobile device, Chromecast even. And you can interact with hosts during the show and topic-specific web-based Q&As. If this sounds familiar, it's because the guys behind IT Pro TV are, in fact, huge fans of Twit, and they have over 10 years of experience in IT learning and were inspired by Leo. So they use the same studio setup and equipment that we do here at Twit. Even if you're already studying with a book or enrolled in certification or a technical degree program, this is a wonderful supplement to learn at your own pace and track your progress. Measure Up practice exams are also included with your subscription, as well as a virtual machine sandbox lab environment for hands-on practice and learning with HTML5 support for any operating system. You get all this for one low monthly price, which includes daily updates and new features monthly. It's comparable to the cost of a study guide and much cheaper than going to IT Boot Camp. So check it out for yourself. It's itpro.tv/allaboutandroid, easy to remember, to upgrade your brain the most popular IT certifications recognized by employers. You're going to get a free 7-day trial when you sign up using our offer code, which will allow you to check out their courses, live stream, and more. Subscriptions are normally $57 per month or $570 for the entire year, but we have a special offer because they're huge fans of Twit. If you sign up now and use the code AAA30, you'll receive 30% off your subscription for the lifetime of your account. That's less than $40 per month or $399 for the entire year. And once you reach your 13th month, they will reduce your subscription rate even further, bringing your cost down to $24.95 per month or $249 for the entire year. Even more incentive to stick around. That's itpro.tv/allaboutandroid. Use the code AAA30 to try it free for 7 days and to save 30%. And we thank IT Pro TV for their support of All About Android and the Twit Network. Good stuff you guys are doing over there. All right. Hey, we've got a couple of app things to talk about. Let's do it.
Appy type things.
Appy things.
Appy things.
Oh, it's so appy. Actually, this one, I think this is pretty cool. We talk a lot about Facebook, on the show in the past, and given them a lot of, we've given Facebook a lot of static in the past.
Yep.
Facebook just released a new version of its Android app called Facebook Lite. And it's designed to be a low footprint app. It's essentially a shell within which to serve the Facebook mobile site. But the difference being that, if you're just doing Facebook mobile, you lose out on things that are really handy with Facebook, like notifications and stuff. I can show you this right here. I had to sideload it. So it's not available in the U.S. They're trial running it in certain locations like Zimbabwe, a few other locations. And the whole point of Facebook Lite is to lower the data footprint so that it can run on as slow as 2G speeds, right? So it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily as pretty as the Facebook app, but that's on purpose. The actual Facebook app is something like 27 megs in size. This is 250 something K. It's tiny.
Wow.
But it still integrates notifications. That's how I got into the app. I had this notification from Myriam and everything. And it also has chat embedded in here. So you don't, if you're a hater of
I'm totally gonna get this.
of the outside, chat messenger app.
Oh,
it's
I use
embedded
the web
in here
version,
because
right?
it's the web version.
I have the app running just for notifications.
Yeah.
And then I use the web to actually do everything.
I just don't use Facebook chat.
Where is it? Oh, Facebook Lite. Sorry.
So do you have a link to where we can get the APK for this?
It's up on Android Police.
I would believe our fine
Android
friends at
Android
Android
Police.
Police.
Indeed.
Thank you.
It's our APK Mirror sister site, which is where we put all of the new Google stuff that they don't widely distribute on the Play Store immediately. But it's handy for stuff like this too, which isn't available in all markets.
Yeah.
So just go to Android Police, and if it's not up on the front page, I think it's gone down a little. You should be able to see it at the bottom widget that we have right now, because it's been a very popular. Oh no, it's off the widget.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Forget I said
APK
that.
Mirror. No, it's right above the bottom.
No, he's
widget
saying
there.
where the link
Yes.
to the story was.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see,
yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
But
Yeah.
you just scroll through the past couple of days, you'll find it. So
Cool.
And for U.S. and most, I think, European countries and similar big markets like that, you don't have access to it because they just set it up like that. I guess they want you to use that richer, more detailed experience. But if you want that, and especially if you want to use the Messenger service without having a separate app for it, which a lot of people, including myself, don't like, check out our story. There's a link where you can download it and sideload it.
I love
Whatever
APK
device you
Mirror.
want.
APK Mirror is so great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with that.
I know, but you know what? I'm just going to say it
hey,
because
take credit for it, Michael.
Art-
You
just
represent
eat
it,
it
man. Own it. Own
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Eat
It's
it
all
up.
you.
Take it
it
and
was
own it.
such a needed thing, and I'm so happy that it exists because it takes a little bit of the obscurity out of sideloading.
It does.
Cool stuff. Good on you, Facebook.
We'll talk about owning it. One of the things that have made games so profitable on the various application marketplaces has been the concept of in-app purchases. We all know this. You're playing a game. For example, I've been addicted to 2 dots, and I'll get to the point where I just need 2 more moves, and I run out of moves, and for 99 cents, I can buy another one. All different ways you can get power-ups, more levels, different things like that, tools. Every game's a little different, but the one in-app purchase that seems to have emerged as the most profitable is the wait or pay option, which is you play through a certain time period, and then you want to play some more, you got to pay up. Well, EA, our friends at Electronic Arts, have now introduced a new version of Need for Speed called No Limits. and they've actually added in-app purchases to allow you can either wait or pay when you run out of gas.
Oh, shoot me.
So now,
and I think it hurts just that much more. The fact that, like, if it was any other sort of, like, restriction, it would just be, another one of those. But the fact that you're paying for gas for your virtual car just makes it hurt a little bit more.
It reminds me of one of the reasons why
Jason.
Michael?
This is not a pay-to-play game. This is a completely free title. You have the option of purchasing premium in-game content if you so desire.
Yes.
Yeah. Just keep telling yourself that.
It's just I love that it reminds me of why I stopped playing World of Warcraft, because a large amount of my time was spent working. Like where I had to dig and I had to dig for something.
At a certain
I'm like,
point, it stops being fun.
I'm doing this for 12 hours a day already. Like I don't want to come home and work for fun. Like, and so now I'm gonna play my game till I run out of gas, and now I got to pay for gas. This is like,
it's not like this is a new concept. There have been mobile games and even racing games that have done very, very similar things. But the fact that they're making you pay for virtual gas in a game called No Limits, the people on Reddit were all over that, and it's amazing that nobody at EA either understood or cared about the irony.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
I think they're beyond that.
Yeah.
I just feel like paying for virtual gas it's like a dagger.
It stings. It does sting.
2 or 3 years ago, there was an EA executive who was talking to his shareholders and his investors at some kind of board meeting. And he was like, we want to move to what was then called microtransactions. That's the future. If somebody's behind a wall in Battlefield and they need a new clip, we want them to be able to press a button for $1 and get a clip of ammo. And hey, now we're at the future. It's arrived.
And everybody's doing it. The waiter play thing is just a trend that I can't stand.
What's really interesting is that's one that I have shown amazing resilience against. I will wait. I don't, like, when I run out, you get 20 minutes.
Then I stop caring. Well, I'll never pay. That's the thing. I'll never pay in that situation.
Right, exactly.
But if I have to wait or pay, then I might wait and do that a couple of days or something.
Well, because the thing
but then I'm done
is
with it.
I've got
I don't care anymore.
I've got 40 minutes on a train. In the morning and the night, so I'll play until I run out of, like, on 2 dots. I'll play until I run out of lives, and then I just listen to a podcast and go to work, and then on the way home I play again. So it's it works.
And there are ways to do this that make more sense. Crossy Roads came to Android a couple of weeks ago, and they've got a very reasonable method for it. You play and you play and you play. You can play as much as you want, and it'll give you free stuff every once in a while. But sooner or later, that free stuff timer runs out. You've got to wait on it, but you can still play the game if you want to. With this EA stuff, you just sit there and wait. And who wants to do that? It's a video game. You want to have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, EA.
Yep.
Terrible.
Agreed.
Well, talk about having fun. We want to thank our last sponsor of this episode. We want to thank Harry's for sponsoring this episode. And let me tell you, Harry's is making shaving fun and affordable. The holidays are over, and it's time to start good habits like saving money. Well, Harry's is here to help. Harry's fixing a problem that most of us who have to shave a lot have, paying too much for overpriced razors. Let's admit it, shaving isn't fun. Sometimes we cut or scrape ourselves with dull blades. That's never a good thing. Razors are expensive. They average about $4 a blade, and for a guy who shaves every day, that adds up. You end up spending hundreds of dollars a year just on razors. And when we go to the store to buy them, we have to deal with those pesky locked-up plexiglass cabinets, which are the worst. I keep pressing the button at Safeway, and nobody comes. Yeah, exactly. What a pain. Luckily, there's a company that's fixing it for us, and they're called Harry's. Now, listen, I was talking before the show. I became a Harry's customer before they even started sponsoring the show. I paid up. I got a Harry's kit, and it has changed my life. I look forward to shaving now. When you order a kit, they come in this beautiful packaging that Jason's got here, along with some of the best products around. Every time I shave, Harry's gives me a clean, close, and comfortable shave. The look and feel of the set that you get is great. They're classy, stylish. The handle that holds the blades looks really, really nice, and you won't believe the price. It costs half as much as razors at the store. And they want to keep you in razors for a long time at an affordable price. So Harry's also has a new aftershave moisturizer that protects and hydrates the skin, as well as other great products. They just introduced the new foaming shave gel, which I'm using, which is fantastic. Harry's is the best. So
this little thing for travel.
that, which is great. That fit right
Keeps you
into
from
my
cutting
travel
yourself
kit.
when you throw it in your kit and then you reach to get the.
And what's
right.
even better is that they have programs for you where you can figure out how often you shave. Like, so for me, I shave maybe once, twice a week and figure out my life of blades. And then I can sign up for a monthly, they'll mail you blades on a monthly or bi-monthly blade. Yeah, my life of blades. But they get you the amount of blades that you need at the price that you want.
Yeah.
And it just
It's
makes
great.
it, yeah.
I got Harry's for my dad for Christmas. I was like, what am I going to get my dad for Christmas? Oh, hey, he's a dude. He shaves. I'll get this for him. And he loves it.
I like that Harry's is disrupting the shaving market. It's
Yeah.
a disruptive technology, people,
Totally.
and you got to get on board. So this is how you get on board. Go to harrys.com and get $5 off your first purchase with the code AAA. That's HARRYS.com and enter code AAA at checkout. And listen, a starter kit is just like $15. So get $5 off. It's just $10. It's a no-brainer. So go to harrys.com, use code AAA at checkout, and we thank Harry's for their support of All About Android.
Love it. Okay.
It's that
all right.
time.
Yes, it is that time for the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Boom.
I think this might be the year of Jason. It might be the year of Jason. I'm
It's
just
starting. You
saying.
never know. But I'm feeling pretty good so far. Last week's results are in, and it looks like Piano by Yoki wins with 46%. I did not expect that when I picked that game. Thought this is fun, but we'll see how it does. And apparently, folks like it. So 46% Piano by Yoki. Wow, close
Very
call
close.
for second and third. It looks like Move It just edged out ahead of Blue Note with 27%. Was yours Move It or Blue Note?
Mine was Blue Note.
Oh, okay. So you're the
Does this mean I go first?
you're the total loser.
I'm the total loser. I'm the super loser.
Super loser.
Super loser. It's like the first season of All About Android. The first year. That was. All right, so I will go first. We'll mix it up on Bryan. We'll keep him on his toes.
Yep.
So came across a little app that I can't really believe it does what it does, and I'm going to need Jason and Bryan's help for this. But it's called Hotel My Phone, which is basically a interesting app that allows you to, if you're in the scenario, and Bryan, you can go back to me. If you're in the scenario where you have your battery has died on your phone, or you've lost your phone, or you left your phone at home, so you're phoneless, but you need to be able to call or
horrible.
text someone,
That is horrible.
you can use Hotel My Phone to use someone else's phone to make calls and send and receive text messages from your number. Think about that.
How? What the?
So here's the scenario. Here's my phone. Battery's dead. I've got no phone.
Hey,
Jason,
hey.
I need to call somebody.
Here, I've got. Hold on.
Hang on.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we are.
Jason,
This is. Okay.
Can I borrow your phone and use
Sure.
Hotel My Phone?
Sure, Ron. Let me launch Hotel My Phone. Here you go.
So now all I have to do is tap Hotel My Phone, and it's going to say, you're about to hotel your phone. Your information, Jason's information, is secured in
My
your hotel
information.
safe and will not be accessible by your guests during their stay. Securely pass your phone to your guest. I'm the guest. I'm going to hit continue. And now what happens is that it loads up a login, hypothetically. There we go. And so I'm going to log in with my account. Right? And so
cut away.
We're going to cut away as I type in my password. All right.
It's okay, it's on drop cam anyway.
Right, exactly. And so once I log in, what happens is because I've already created my account with Hotel My Phone, I have bad credentials. I can't type on Jason's phone.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Once I log in, it will have my contacts as well as my phone number, and I will be able to use Jason's phone as if it was my own.
MONKEY123.
Okay.
How? Okay, so how does the call work?
I have no idea. So now that I've logged in, I don't care. It says, so check-in cost is free. The stay is on us. Enjoy complimentary Hotel My Phone check-in to hotels in your network. Your check-in will let you securely access your contacts, send text, and make calls for a 4-hour stay. So I'm going to check in here. And so now I am checked into Jason's phone. So now what I'm going to do is if I go here, it pulls up a little menu, hypothetically.
Maybe.
There we go. It's loading. Here are my text messages. So it's already got my text messages loaded. I can make a call now. So I can try making a call. I'm actually going to go to my contacts. This is very dangerous.
Yes, I know.
All
You're
right,
treading on.
so I'm going to search for Bryan.
So your
Okay, so here-
contacts list.
So
is
I got to
there.
call Bryan and let him know that I'm in the arena and I'm dying, right? Oh, there's Bryan's phone number. So I'm going to call Bryan. Hypothetically.
Sorry, Bryan.
This all works. There we go. So now you can see I'm calling him. It's setting up a call. It's ringing.
Oh.
Bryan, is your phone ringing?
Ring.
Is it from me? Is it?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So it did ring. We have confirmation. It did, in fact, ring.
Hello? Can you hear me, Ron?
It's still ringing on my end.
Wait.
There we go.
Maybe it
Can
just
you hear
has
me
a
now?
lot of lag.
Oh, yeah. Here, let me turn off this. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
All right. How about
Or
that?
are you just making
I'm
it up?
making it up. Wait, hang on a second.
So, wait.
I don't understand how the
So
call
that's-
is
How
done,
does
though.
it
Here we
know
go.
your texts and
Bryan?
contacts?
There we go. Now it's working. I can hear noise. Yeah. But anyway, so basically, I'm
did you-
hanging
some
up.
kind of
on your-
VoIP system,
Do
right?
you have the app installed on your phone?
So what happens is that you install the app on your phone.
oh, and they take
you set up the
everything,
account.
your text messages, your credentials. Oh,
They have
nice.
They have done that stuff that they're storing in your account. It's protected and secure and all stuff like that,
it's
right?
in the cloud somewhere.
Exactly. Well, it's using your Google account, to log in.
Oh, okay. So it's using it
Right.
connects to Gmail.
Exactly. And so then the idea being that, Bryan, if you look at that phone call, did it come from my phone number?
Yeah, it did.
So
Yeah.
it came from my phone number, even though I was using Jason's phone.
VoIP, or did it use my phone network? That's where
Use
I'm
your minutes.
confused.
Probably use your
Yeah.
minutes.
It used my minutes, but
So,
still came
I
through
noticed
your
you had-
number.
No, but it
How
didn't.
the
It didn't
hell?
go. I don't think it went through. It doesn't use the phone app.
So it's a VoIP.
It's a
thing.
VoIP
Show the
thing.
screen where you were like checked in and about to make the call.
Yeah.
There were notifications in the tray. Can you see them?
Yes, there are. On Jason's notifications, yes,
Yeah.
I can see Jason's
Ah,
notifications. yeah.
see, this is dangerous.
True, but the idea is that this is not meant to me to use this long term.
Yeah.
It's and the
This
idea.
is, you need to make a quick phone call, but I don't want you
Exactly.
using my minutes or
Exactly,
or
and so
my text message.
And so
or
what
whatever.
they've done is that they've created this idea of a hotel network, and the idea being that you connect to people who are your friends, and you build your network that you can use. So I'm not using some random person; I'm using somebody who there's already a bond of trust because we're already
Oh,
contacts.
of course, I get it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you have Google Voice. Are you using your Google Voice number as your main number?
No, it's a regular-
Normally? So this is actually using your regular
phone number.
Wow,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
That is so weird.
Amazeballs.
It's pretty crazy, huh?
It said there was a 4-hour stay in there. Is there any kind of monetization thing where you use it longer, or is it just a straight up service?
They do have a monetization scheme. It's not really much a scheme. So it is the app is free to download, and then I'm just pulling up their website so I can get this correct.
Yeah, the Play Store doesn't list anything as far as in-app purchases.
Well, because
or
they're not
anything.
in-app purchases. Basically, you set up an account with them, and basically, so included free on the app, you can make unlimited check-ins to hotels in your network. You can send and receive. They have messaging within the app.
Right.
You can send SMS from other phones, so I can send messages from your phone, and they give you $1 worth of free credits, free. Now, then you could sign up for the a la carte system, which allows you to check into a hotel, somebody's phone that's not in your network. So if I didn't know Myriam, but I'm like, hey, can I use your phone?
Yeah.
I can do that. They'll charge you $1 for that. And you can send SMS messages from a generic number for 10 cents.
So the
So
part
ba-
they don't tell you about is
Yeah.
that the founders used to work at the NSA.
Nice. But anyway.
This is how Myriam tries to win, by the way.
Exactly. So I want to go back to the logout. I want to go back to the logout. So now
I know how you roll.
I've logged out from the app, and now that I've logged out, it says rate your stay, so I can actually rate what I thought your hotel
better
was.
rate me
I'm gonna
good,
say it's
man.
great.
Okay.
Get it done.
This is where like
And
you
s-
gave me a Samsung.
so then
I'm
now-
rating you 1.
So now it's reminding you that your session is securely ended. Don't worry, your data is not going to be stored in this device. And now give the phone back to
Thank you.
its owner, and there
And
you
it's
go.
mine.
Yep.
Look, it's
and
even my
now
home
you know
screen.
what's interesting is that not only does it have Ron's data and phone calls and messages and contacts, but it has yours now.
Oh, so
because the NSA login, took over and just you got the whole. There was just enough time to transfer
Uninstall.
everything
So-
from your phone.
So it takes.
Thanks, Myriam. Thank you.
It that's
Harsh
actually doesn't do
reality.
that, but it takes a little bit to wrap your head around the whole idea of the hotels and the network and all that sort of stuff. But when you think about the fact that you cannot have your phone or your phone can die, and someone who you're with, and not, 8 times out of 10 I'm with friends or everybody, stuff like that, and be like, hey, let me grab your phone, let me log in, make a call from my number if you need to call to check in for something or need to call, for some reason. There's a lot of times where I'll call a close friend, and if they don't recognize the number, they won't answer.
Yeah.
Think about that. So if you're stuck and you're stranded on the side of the road, this is a great way to be like, no, it's actually me.
I have this problem with my sister in France, who I keep calling with Skype.
Yeah.
And I have Skype out, but it's not like I don't have Skype in, so I don't have a fixed number.
That happened to me today.
I actually get a recording that says, sorry, the subscriber of this number has disabled any phone numbers that block caller ID. And I'm like, oh, I can't call my sister.
No, that literally, the reverse side of that happened to me today. Somebody called my desk at work, and I looked at the caller ID, I looked at the phone number, and I didn't recognize it, so I just didn't answer. And
I still think it's all the NSA.
So, yeah. Well, it's not the NSA, and it's free in the Google Play Store. So you can go.
That's exactly why it's the NSA, because it's free.
I don't know. It's just neat. It just seemed like it was one of those, like, how are they doing that apps? That is pretty cool.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Hotel My Phone.
Hotel My Phone. There you go. Free / $1 per things that he already talked about. Sure. Okay. Myriam, you are up next. What you got?
I got another app from the NSA, because all apps are from the NSA today.
They probably all are. Just
where's the tinfoil? Where's the tinfoil?
I'm just kidding.
Just in general.
This is so you know I'm a camera person. I have you can bring my phone up right now. I'm going to show you something real quick. I have a app that I used to. I'm not a big fan of third-party camera apps in the first place, because usually the manufacturer's camera app takes best advantage of the hardware. It's optimized. This is changing with Lollipop, where Android is exposed. Google has exposed some of the APIs. For camera. So if you look at my app tray here, I have Pro Capture, which was until now kind of like my go-to third-party camera interface if I wanted a camera interface on Android. But lately, I've been using a new app, which is the app we're talking about here, called Camera FV5. So it's FV-5. And the reason I love it is because it actually takes advantage of all the Lollipop APIs and allows you to save data as RAW, for one thing, which is great. And secondly, as you can see here, I'm in shutter priority mode here, which means that I can set my shutter speed, which reflects immediately on the brightness of my shot, and I can set my ISO. So this will be, a pretty much a noise-free image at ISO 100. And if I set the shutter speed to a little higher, so it's a little bit more realistic, I can take that picture. There you go. And so, of course, I can change it back to kind of a program mode by going automatic here, and that's in program mode. Now I can actually change the exposure here, but I have no control over the ISO, which is automatic right now. So what I'm saying here is that this gives you kind of manual controls for phones that have no manual controls and that have Lollipop, which is mostly Nexus phones right now. And it lets you take much better pictures. You have RAW support. There's a couple of things I still would prefer be different. For example, the fact that when you hold the shutter key, it keeps taking shots. So I like where you tap it and it focuses and locks the focus and exposure. And while you keep it pressed, you can reframe the shot. And then when you release your finger, it takes the picture. That's the way a camera shutter button should be implemented, in my opinion. When you don't have.
I've never used one that did that.
No, the Samsungs do. You have to turn off burst mode.
Oh, interesting.
The LGs do.
See, I've just always liked burst mode, so I guess I just.
Yeah, no, I can understand if you have a kid running around.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
But my point is that if you like the built-in photo app on most Nexuses is manageable, but this one gives you some more control, and for that I like it. And it's $395 for this version, which is the pay version. And I don't know what the free version lacks, because I've never really bothered with the free version. I mostly wanted this because it supports the Lollipop API. It's one of the first third-party camera apps to really integrate fully with Lollipop. And they've done a good job. If you're a camera buff and you like to take, lots of pictures, this is a great app to have. And that's basically it. I mean, I could walk you through.
It basically turns your phone into a tiny little DSLR.
Correct.
As far as the settings are concerned.
And really having shutter speed control is fantastic. Like 1/1/8000s, I can take, I can go by the water, and when the water rushes against the rocks and kind of explodes, I can get that freeze frame on the water in the daylight, obviously, because you need a lot of light for that. But right now, the only way I could do that was use a HTC One M8, for example, which has manual controls, or use a Lumia, which has manual controls, or use an iPhone with manual, the app, which has manual controls. But there really was no way to do that properly on Android.
Right.
Because even on apps that had the controls before, it was so janky because the APIs were so janky in the old version of Android that this is beginning to be a worthy app. in terms of camera and photography. So check it out.
It's surprising that Google, that the APIs are there, yet Google hasn't kind of exploited those advanced features.
I think Google doesn't know how to
themselves.
make camera apps if you've tested their camera apps.
Well,
over
no,
the
it's
years.
true. Well, yeah.
You know what I'm waiting
But, having
for?
said that, there haven't been that many great camera apps, period, that I've seen on Android.
No, honestly, right now, I hate to say this because, I'm an Android user, right? But the best camera phone for Android today, I believe, short of going to like the Panasonic CM1 or something that is a camera grafted to a phone, like the Zoom, the Galaxy Zooms, is probably the Galaxy Note 4 right now. It has the best combination of everything. It's got OIS, it's got really good software, really good image processing, good low light performance. It's really doing a good job. The LG G3 is a close second. But honestly, if you want the best imaging experience on a mobile device today, I hate to say this, but Manual, the app on iOS with an iPhone 6 Plus, you just can't go wrong. Of course, there's the whole Lumia equation, but then you might as well bring a camera because your phone experience is not going to be fantastic, right? I love Lumias. I love Windows Phone. You guys know this. But I just can't live with it day to day. Right. So if I'm going to have to bring an extra device for the camera, I might as well bring a real camera, right?
That's fair enough. Fair enough. And primarily this is Nexus 5, Nexus 6 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean
right?
lollipop devices. So I think there's a few more like the Moto G has gotten poly lollipop in some markets now, and I'm sure we're going to have a big onslaught of carrier devices probably in the next 6 months. Sure. So yep.
Cool stuff. Yes, this has been on my list, and you beat me to it. Camera FV5. It's a great app. It's a lot of fun to play around with and kind of do new things and have the pictures actually end up looking pretty good.
All your pictures go to the NSA.
Yes, because that's the theme. And the NSA really wants to know about your battery percentage as well, right, Michael? I actually have it installed, so I can show this off while you talk about it.
Indeed, they do. This one's been around for a while, and it's one of those apps that I really love to feature in our roundups because it's just a little small thing that makes your phone experience just that much better. The app is called Battery Percent Enabler, and what it does, it enables your battery percent. Specifically, on a default Nexus device, and many devices similar to a Nexus device, like say a Moto X. When you look at your battery icon, you're just going to see that icon unless you pull it down and look into your notification bar. Then you can see the percentage, or you can go into the settings menu and pull up the percentage. But I really like to see that percentage all the time. It's one of the first things I do on a custom ROM is put in like the circle mod or whatever it is. Yep. But if you are stock, if you don't have a choice, or if you just prefer stock, this little app is great. Here's how you do it. You install the app, you press a button, you reboot your phone, and then you get a percentage readout inside the battery icon. Right. It's really hard to see on the screen here.
It is really because this icon is tiny. If you go in, you'll see a little pixelated.
Oh, there we
you
go.
go. You see
There
it,
it is.
versus on the OnePlus where it's just that. See,
Yes.
and now you've got that little thing. Only once it's actually kind of empty enough. Well, yes.
It is an option on most custom ROMs.
Yeah, most custom. Yes.
Oh, if this doesn't win, I don't know what to do. I'm installing it literally right now.
Yeah, I need that.
This is great.
Battery
great.
percent
And-
enabler. I'm doing
And the
it.
great thing is, this does not need root.
Yeah,
right?
that's the
Yes.
big deal here. Normally,
it's
you would
Android
need that.
KitKat and Lollipop. It works for both of those. It's a setting that Google has inside the software that, for whatever reason, they haven't exposed for regular users. But this app goes in, flips the switch, reboot your phone, and you
See,
get that
guys,
battery readout. And
this
man, I
is
love
what
that.
we're installing software that the NSA is spying on us with. I'm telling you.
This is just like elegant and does one thing and does it well. That's perfect. I love it.
This is amazing.
I've installed.
And
I'm
so
booting.
once you've enabled it, you can even uninstall the app, right? It's just a setting, right?
It's a software switch in there. If you're done with it, you can uninstall it, and it stays there.
I love it.
And the only reason you would need to install it again is if you want to turn it off for some reason.
I was gonna say,
but you
yeah.
don't. Nobody does.
Yeah. That's cool.
You probably win.
Well, I am the Lord of the Roundups. I should win.
Wow, I like it. I like it. He's got some moxie over there.
That was almost as humble as I am half the time.
Well, the thing is, Ron, I think 2 weeks ago you took my pick for the flashlight app. It was the one that you press your power button, 4 times when it's off and it turns it on. And I love that. I've got it installed on my N6. And I was going to use that, but this is a close second as far as utility.
When I was looking for apps this weekend, I found an app that does the same thing, but with 2 clicks on the power button. And I thought about doing it again, but I got so much
That's too better.
like gripes from people in the on Google Plus and stuff like that for doing a flashlight app. I was like, I'll wait on that. So, there you go.
What you got, Jason?
All right, so let's see what I got. I actually had a fan of the show wrote in and said, "Hey, take a look at my app." And I took a look at it, and I was like, "That's actually pretty cool." There are some people that are really going to love this. So it's called LockLock, connected lock screen. Did this make a roundup that you know of, Michael?
If it did, it's entirely possible that it did, and I have forgotten it because I mean we go through almost 100 apps a month, and I've done this for a long time. So if I've forgotten it, I apologize.
That's okay. And if it hasn't, maybe you should look
at it. Yeah.
So what is LockLock? LockLock is a connected lock screen. So
yes, we did do this. Sorry,
okay. Well, see, there you go. You guys cover it all. So I'm not surprised at all. So basically what it means is I could set this. Let's say I wanted to set, this up with like my wife or whatever. So I wanted to, we could send messages to each other basically through the lock screen. Or maybe not my wife, maybe Ron's phone. So if I go in here, I'll go ahead and double tap. It gives me a little reminder to do that. I'm going to go ahead and erase this message.
So it's like the iWatch, like sending little cutesy
it
things
kind of
to
is.
one another from
Hi,
the
Rin.
lock screen.
That's right. It kind of is.
The NSA is involved.
I'm sure I could resize that, but I'm not going to try and figure it out. We'll go to the pen, and we'll go, let's see here. Horrible Android character, but whatever. This is all I got right now, okay?
He's got 3 eyes. He's a very enlightened Android.
So I'll go ahead and I'm going to send this. It's going to upload on this end.
Boom.
And
Look
boom.
at that.
Look, everybody's
Look at
lock
that.
screen changed.
How cool is that? So I can hypothetically then do this, and I can say, oh, look, it says hi, Ron. Did you do that?
I did that.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Cool. So I can say, that looks great, but I think it should be green. So I'm going to color in the green.
Oh, thanks for making it look better, Ron.
It's too bad it's not real time.
I know, that would be pretty sweet,
That would
actually.
be pretty awesome.
And then after it uploads, boom, we start getting suited with our green armor.
That's so cool.
It really
that
is
is really
kinda
cool, I have to say.
So it's called LockLock. You can set up groups. So I actually have, this is like my own one that I set up, and then I made an All About Android group and added Ron. Actually, I think I added you to both of these.
Yeah.
But so if I was to spend a little more time, I would have invited you guys to the group.
You should.
I should have. And then you could all look at this every time you
I hate
unlock.
to say this, Michael, but you might have gotten competition here.
It's pretty cool.
But we'll put it in the hands of the people.
That's right. That's what it's all about.
This
So
has
it's
been
called
a cool-
LockLock, and
No,
it's
no,
free.
you're putting it in the hands of the NSA.
This has been a good. This has been a good arena. I mean, you could use this. You could use this for quick messaging. Like, it's like
totally.
Yeah.
You can actually use it to take a picture, I believe. Oh, that's right. You have the double tap. So I could take a picture if I was, somewhere and be like, hey, what about my laptop with this Android guy? And then I'll go ahead and send that. And now you're going to get a picture of a laptop, probably. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's a little bigger than just coloring green. Still get to upload.
Maybe that's it. Oh,
No,
yeah,
there
we
it
go.
is.
Hey.
Look at that. Oh, that's so
What do you
cool.
know? But in reality, what would happen is your phone would be screen off, and then the next
Yes.
time you turn it
Yeah.
on, you'd have a new lock screen waiting for you that I sent to you. So there you go. Pretty cool
Some real
stuff.
potential for abuse in this. Some very
Yeah,
entertaining
Oh,
abuse.
totally. But I love it. I think it's a kind of an interesting thing that I certainly haven't seen before.
Indeed.
It's kind of like a 21st century of your friend with a really dirty car, and you leave messages for him in the dust on the back window.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, I got a message on my Android where, it just went away. Oh, no, it didn't. It says LockLock. Somebody updated the image. Because you can set a notification toggle so that if somebody updates it, it
just
sends
send
you.
the image.
I wonder if it does. No. Open on phone, lock app. Okay. Maybe they don't have total wear integration
Maybe
necessarily.
the NSA does not have access to your watch yet.
There we go. We know the developer's watching, so that's consider that a feature request.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh, the
actually.
developers.
Oh, hey, there's the
Wow.
yeah, no, the developer's probably watching. So thank you
job.
for sending this in. And it's called LockLock. LOKLOK, one word. And check
Like
it out.
pizza.
That's free. Pan. Okay. Let's see here. I have not. Well, hey, you knew what I was talking about. I am updating the poll right now. I forgot to hit send earlier. If you go to the Google Plus community for All About Android, you can find it. Or you can go AAApoll.com. I'm buying time right here. AAApoll.com/198. And you can let your voice be heard. AAApoll.com/198. It's there now, and it should work.
It is working. Confirmed.
All right. Let's see.
So let's see. What is your favorite app of this week? Is it LockLock? Is it Hotel My Phone? Camera FV5? Or Battery Percent Enabler? I have a feeling this is going to be a very close week between all four apps because they're all four very good.
Yeah, very good apps.
Yeah, really good apps that all do different wacky things.
Yes.
I like wacky apps. It's been a while since we've had a couple of wacky apps.
Now we can thank our next sponsor, the NSA.
Oh, I left my NSA hat at home. I should have wore that for the NSA.
My sister actually works for the NSA. Maybe we can get her on for an official sponsorship.
Interesting.
All right.
I just learned a little too much about you, Michael.
Yeah,
she works for the Navy, and the Navy loans her out to the NSA. We're very proud, Becky. She's not watching.
Is Becky an Android user? I have to.
She is. She has a Motorola Droid Mini right now on my recommendation, and she likes it very much.
Nice.
It's good fun.
When did the Droid Mini come out?
A year ago?
About like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's the generation before this one, like equal with the original Moto
It's the one
X.
after the Droid M.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Cool stuff. Hey,
let's bring this brother home.
Yeah, let's do it. Really appreciate you guys tuning in yet another week. We really appreciate you coming back. Chat room, you guys are always awesome. Thanks for keeping us honest. And, of course, our awesome guests, starting with Myriam Joire. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. We always love having you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's always a blast. So
Excellent.
I'll come back anytime.
All right, awesome. Where can people find your work? What are you working on? What you got?
So, my blog's Tankgirl Mobile, which is tankgirl.com. Tankgirl always without the vowels, TNKGRL. That's also my Twitter handle and a bunch of other stuff online. I'm doing a podcast about once a month, and I've got a bunch of phone reviews in the works. I'm a little behind right now because CES and planning Mobile World Congress and stuff. So I'm also still looking for a job. So I'm doing freelance work right now as a journalist and as a PR person. It pays the bills.
You're going to Mobile World Congress even?
Yes, I am going to Mobile Congress with mobile geeks, Sasha Pallenberg, Nicole Scott, a bunch of awesome people.
Awesome, yep.
So, if you hear of any gigs, full-time gigs, either in the media or in PR universe, evangelism, communications, just let me know, ping me. Until then, I'll continue doing awesome freelance stuff and come on your show and do other stuff.
Sweet. We love having you on the show.
Thanks for having me, everyone.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Michael Crider, Android Police. It's been our pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for coming on, and we would love to have you back someday.
Well, I would love to come back. It has been a great experience.
Radical. What are you working on right now? Where can people follow your stuff?
Well, obviously, I work for Android Police pretty much full time. So 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, you can find my work on there. And along with all of my other wonderful coworkers and bosses at Android Police. I have a personal site. It's thegumshoe.com. There isn't much stuff going on over there. I do a few book reviews for some small independent publishers. And I am working on a novel, but I won't say anything more than that because I've been doing it for 2 years and I need another 6 or 7 months. But if I can take the opportunity, again, if you missed the first part of the show, please check out Team Tiny Tank on GoFundMe. To help out my friend and colleague, Cameron Summerson, whose son is having some kidney problems, and they could really use your help for funds or just sharing or anything you can do for him. I'm sure he would really appreciate that.
That total number has jumped to at least $200 or $300 since the beginning of the show. So that is fantastic. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. That is radical. Yes. Do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Ron, what about you?
Yeah, so you can go to about.me/RonXO where you can find all the links to my social presence out there on Twitter and Google Plus and Instagram and all the fun stuff. And check out me on ThinkUp at ronxo.thinkup.com or our good friend Gina's startup. That's social analytics. I always like to see what's going on there.
Yeah.
And finally, by day, I'm sitting behind a desk over at Image Comics headquarters, helping to make some great comic books that you should go check out at imagecomics.com. We've got downloadable comics that you can get from the website, as well as they're on Comixology, the Google Play Store, all places where you can get fine comic books. Go to your local comic book store, read a comic book. They're awesome. So there you go.
Excellent.
Yo.
Bryan. Bri.
I'm back.
The Britty Bry.
Ooh, it's a
going?
lit Bryan.
The Brittle de Bry Bry.
I finally got a haircut, so I figured I should.
Oh, so we can see your
jump
face
on,
now.
yeah.
It's amazing. What you got?
Well, I was gone last week. I was at Daytona and checking out the Rolex 24. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's kind of a 24-hour race. So I finally tested out like the story stuff on Google Plus. So you can go to bryanburnett.com and take a look at that. But I was saving a lot of these photos. I posted them on Instagram and stuff, but I wanted to see what Google kind of did with them, and came out pretty cool.
It's cool, right?
Their
Like
stories
I've
are
done a
awesome.
bunch of these, and I'm always like, oh, look at that, I remember that.
And you can go in and edit them because every once in a while they'll put something in and you're like, why is there suddenly a box of cereal?
Yeah, so I mean, I did edit it, but it's neat. Like the one thing that happened though is that I just didn't upload anything to Google Plus for a long time, and then just kind of waited to see what it made, and it came out really neat. So yeah, check out that. I'll probably be talking about that on Know How on Thursday at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So check that out. What about you, Jason?
Radical. About.me/Jason Howell. There's yellowgoldmusic.com, and for music stuff when I'm working on it. I'm actually working on new stuff right now, but that usually means that like it's going to be a year before I have anything for anyone to listen to. But I'm considering starting up the blog again to kind of talk about the process while I work on the new material. So I'll probably do that one of these days. But anyways, yellowgoldmusic.com. Check out my music there if you want to. But as far as this show is concerned, that is it for this week. We have Aaron Newcomb coming next week. You're out, right?
I am out next week. I'm actually going to be on a plane flying back to San Francisco, so I will miss you all next week. I'm actually taking some rare time off. So
Do it. Take
follow
care of
me
yourself.
on Google Plus and Instagram if you want to be amused at my adventures at Disney World.
Disney World.
What's weird is we're going to Disneyland this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's too bad. It's too bad we weren't going to the same place.
It would've been
I ditched
fun.
my family and
It
hang
would
out
have been
with
fun.
you.
We
Just
would've done-
You
kidding.
guys can do a compare and contrast.
Yes.
Hey, Ron, do me a favor. Get the wristband, the NFC wristband, and tell me what you think.
I'm already all over it. We're on the same page.
Sweet.
I'll bring it in when I come back, Bri.
Cool.
All right, that's it for this week. Voicemails can be left at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email or video mail. Have not got one of those in like a couple of years now.
Send a video mail.
AAA at twit.tv. You can find us on Twitter. We are at Android Show. We're on Reddit. It's twitaaa.reddit.com. Show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. We're on Google Plus. We have a bunch of stuff happening on Google Plus in the community there. We also have YouTube, iTunes. Our episodes are everywhere. Finally, you can catch us live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. That is it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android.
Bye, everybody.